Hello, hello, hello again, math scholars. We are here again for Course 2 Notebook. Math time today for Lesson 49. I've got my little puppy here with his tail in the air. He's just begging us to come outside and play. Well, maybe if we get through with math today, we can. Lesson 49, guys, is a fairly simple lesson. You'll find that it's a review of stuff that you learned in 5th grade and 6th grade. So please be sure you fill in your table of contents for Lesson 49. The title is Adding and Subtracting Mixed Measures. Adding and subtracting mixed measures. And we're right here on page 134. This is lesson 49. Adding and subtracting mixed measures. Again, you can pause the video at any time if you're not able to keep up with as fast as I'm going. This one is a fairly fast lesson though. First thing we need to know is, what are we talking about when we're talking about mixed measures? We're not talking about, for instance, a half a cup liquid and then 4 inches of something. We're talking about everything in the same category. For instance, all length. We would be talking about yards, feet, inches, miles. Okay, and that would be in the standard. We might be talking about kilometers, centimeters, millimeters, that sort of thing if we're all in the metric system. For volume, we might be talking about, cubic yards and that sort of thing. But mixed measures means we're in the same system. We're just mixing the units up. So for instance, if I have that the movie was 1 hour and 48 minutes long. We have an hour and we have minutes. We're talking about the length of one thing is measured in both hours and minutes. These are the units, and we're kind of mixing them together. So that's what we're talking about here. We're going to start right in adding mixed measures. Let me give you an example. If I have 1 yard, 2 feet, and 7 inches, and please notice that I'm spacing these out a little bit. I'm not crowding them together. And I'm adding to that 2 yards, 2 feet, and 8 inches. We use our summation bar right there. And we're going to start on the far right. We start with the smallest unit and then move over toward the left, just like when we're adding regularly. 7 plus 8 is 15. 15 inches. Now I have a problem with 15 inches because 15 inches is more than a foot. How many inches are in a foot? 12. 12 inches are in a foot. That would leave 3 inches here, and we can put this 1 foot over there. Now then, 2 feet plus 2 feet is 4 feet plus 1 feet is 5 feet. Wait a minute. 5 feet is more than a yard because a yard is 3 feet. See how you have to know your units? So if I subtract 3 feet from there, I'm left with 2 feet, and I can put that 1 foot, or 3 feet, that yard over here, just like I put that 12 inches up there. I'm going to put those 3 feet up there because they're equivalent to 1 yard, 12 inches equivalent to 1 foot, and now I have 2 yards, 3 yards, and 4 yards. So I'm going to drop that straight down. The answer that we have here for this addition problem is 4 feet, 4 yards, 2 feet, and 3 inches. I'm going to take the time right now to remind you, your book doesn't show it, but when we're in standard units, we actually do put a period at the end of them, unlike metric, where there is no period. So that's one way to distinguish if you're ever on an IXL assignment or doing some kind of a grammar assignment or even typing in a Word document and it doesn't like what you've done. It's because the standard units typically need that, the period. At least the inches, the feet and the yards, sometimes not. All right, hopefully that was clear. I'm going to go on and do one more sample of the addition variety. Let's go to a different unit of measure though. Instead of linear, let's go to time. Let's take 2 hours, 40 minutes and 35 seconds. Sounds like somebody running a half marathon or something, or maybe me walking one. And we're going to add to that 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 50 seconds. Notice the abbreviations. Please use those. Okay, if we're in adding, once again, we start on the far right. 35 plus 50 is going to give me 85 seconds, which you guys all know is more than 1 minute. A minute is made up of 60 seconds. So if we subtract 60 seconds away, that's going to leave us with 25 seconds. And these 60 seconds that we've subtracted comes up here to the 1 minute. 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. This is 85, 86. This is 86 minutes, which you all recognize is more than an hour. An hour is 60 minutes. Wasn't that handy? 60 seconds, 60 minutes. We're going to subtract the 60 there, which leaves us with 26 minutes. We're going to take these 60 minutes and add them up here to make 1 hour. And now over here we have 2, 3, 4 hours. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with how to do this, and this is a simple review for everybody. What is it that you have to know in order to do this? You have to know the equivalents. You have to know how many inches are in a foot, how many feet are in a yard, how many feet are in a mile, and so on. How many seconds are in a minute, how many minutes are in an hour, how many days in a week, how many weeks in a year, days in a year. You're going to need to know how many quarts are in a gallon. You will need to know how many, I know, for baking, I have to know how many tablespoons make up a quarter cup. All sorts of things like that. All right, let's do some subtraction ones. Here's a sample of subtraction. If I have 5 days, 10 hours, and 15 minutes, is how long the astronauts have been in space. Nope, that's how long they're supposed to be in space. And they have already spent 1 day, 15 hours, and 40 minutes in space. The question would be, how much time do they have left to be in space? And we start over here again. But we have a problem right off the bat. I cannot subtract 40 from 15. These are minutes. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to borrow an entire hour. We've got our yard crew working. I don't know if you can hear their machine going. So I've borrowed an entire hour. Now an hour is how many minutes? It's 60 minutes. So if I add 60 to this 15, this actually becomes 75 minutes. I hope you saw that. 60 plus 15 is 75 minutes, and I simply took the liberty there. Now I'm remembering that I'm in subtraction. 5 take away nothing is 5, and 7 take away 4 is 3, and 35 minutes is less than 1 hour. Okay, let's take 15 hours away from, can't do that either. So I'm going to have to borrow from the days. And if I borrow 1 day, I'm actually borrowing how many hours? 24. So the 24 plus 9 is going to give me how many hours? It's right, it's going to be 33 hours. And I can put that right over top of that. Oops, not 35, but 33 hours. And now I can borrow from here. There's 2, and 13 take away 5 is 8. 2 take away 1 is 1. So this is 18 hours, which is less than a day. And 4 days take away 1 day leaves me with 3 days. If that went a little too fast, just rewind your video here. Not rewind, you just have to move the little red ball backwards a little bit and watch that again. One more subtraction problem for you here as a sample. 4 yards, 3 inches. And they have it written like this in the book. Subtracting 2 yards, 1 foot, 8 inches. Now right off the bat, you'll notice this goes from yards to inches, and there's no feet in the middle. And we are subtracting 2 yards, 1 foot, 8 inches. I can still line this up. And by rights, when I see the problem ahead of time, I can make allowances for that and leave space. We actually have 0 feet right there. Subtraction means this is going on the bottom. 2 yards, 1 foot, and 8 inches. All right, now just like the problem up above, we start on the far right. I cannot subtract 8 from 3, but look, I don't have any feet to borrow from. So I'm going to have to skip on over to yards. And if I borrow 1 yard, then I've borrowed how many feet? That's right, I've borrowed 3 feet. Now I can borrow from the 3 feet over here. I'm going to borrow 1 foot, making that 2, and 1 foot is 12 inches. 12 plus 3 makes 15 inches. Okay, so let's look again. I cannot subtract 8 from 3, but I can't borrow from the feet. I had to borrow clear over here at the yards. Borrow 1 yard leaves me with 3 yards, meaning I have borrowed 3 feet. Okay, now I can borrow from 3 feet, leaving that 2, and add 12 inches plus 3. This was the 12 plus 3 gives me 18. And we did a problem up here where we had 15 and 8, way up at the top. So I know that 15 take away 8 is going to leave me with 7 inches, which is less than a foot. 2 feet take away 1 foot is still 1 foot, and 3 yards take away 2 yards is 1 yard. So our answer is 1 yard, 1 foot, 7 inches. And there you have it, my young mathematicians. There is your lesson 49. Look at this. It's all on one page. Aren't we happy? All right, lesson 49. With that happy little puppy and his tail in the air, get right to your assignment, please. You have A through I to do. Bye-bye.